Welcome back, everyone, to the Dante Alighieri Society of Jersey City for Season 2 of Real Estate 101 with Dom and AJ. With yours truly, AJ Cupo from AJC Realty Exchange.
And Dominic Pascucci from Signature Homes and Estates.
We want to thank all the fans from Season 1 who liked, shared, reposted, and loved our content. It was a great success, and we're back for Season 2 and beyond. We're kicking things off in high fashion today with the godfathers of real estate. Let's give a warm, generous welcome to Al Cupo, broker of record at AJC Realty Exchange.
And Louis Farina, broker of record and owner of Signature Homes and Estates.
First off, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And Al, this first question is for you. What inspired you to get into real estate in the first place, and what is your biggest achievement as a real estate broker?
Well, without showing too much of my age, it goes back to 1981. It was a time when the market for the jobs was very tough, and it was a time when you apply for jobs and they all said, "Don't call us, we'll call you." So I remember my mom, rest her soul, kept on saying to me, "Why don't you get into the real estate business?" So I had a real estate license, and that was back in 1978. And then after college, I said, "Well, let's try it out." So off I went to Cupo Real Estate here in Jersey City. And it was a time when interest rates were at 21%. And again, tough market. But with a little persuasion from different people, a couple of deals here and there, we weathered the storm. And probably my biggest sale at the time was back in 1985. It was about 3/4 of a mile away from this location. It was 2801 Kennedy Boulevard, which was 114 unit building with 14 stores. At that time, the sale was $2.5 million. It yielded about a $100,000 commission, and off I went to the races. And the rest pretty much is history.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's an understatement. And not only that, I remember him showing me that building. That was his crown jewel when I started. He always showed me the building that he sold on the corner. And every time I pass it, I know. Absolutely.
And you, Mr. Louis Farina?
Well, I started, oh my God, I was like after high school, my father, he was a builder, and he owned all kinds of warehouses and properties, and I would, collect the rents from him. It was a challenge because some of the people weren't home, or they were avoiding me with rents, and I would get really frustrated, and I would wait for them to come home, and I would say, "You got to pay your rent," and they would give me the money, or they would give me half, whatever it was. And I wasn't licensed then. I remember, I was in between like jobs. I used to do some print work jobs, and in between jobs, I would help my dad. And then I was shown one of the apartments one day, and a real estate agent came in, and she wasn't very nice to me, and she was saying all kinds of real estate words, and I'm like, "What does that mean?" She says, "Well, if you were licensed, you would know." And I got really mad, and I says, "Okay." And I went home and told my dad. He said, "Well, why don't you just go to real estate school?" So I did. And I climbed the ladder in real estate because I really didn't know what was what. Nobody taught me anything in real estate. I remember working in an office one time, and back before there was computers, there was books. You would go through these big books, and like you don't even know if anything was available back then. You remember those days? So I've seen a pile of contracts in the office, and I had all these people come in. I think, Dominic, I told you this story, and I didn't know how to write up a contract. I was following, and all these people were in, and I kept giving them lollipops to eat. So I would follow the structure of the contract. And I remember I wrote up 7 contracts in that day or that week, and they all fell apart. So I learned from that, and I always tell everybody, I told you so many times, don't count your commissions until the checks was there. So then I went to, a company, Weichert and Century 21, where I was actually the youngest manager, and they brought me in as the mentor to teach all the new guys real estate. And I was with them for a while, and then what I did was I said, "You know what, it's time for me to go on my own." So around 2008, I formed Signature Homes and Estates. I was one of the first boutique shops to ever open up, and then people followed my path, I would, so to speak. And then it's just been on, from there. And, a very successful career. very challenging career, and it's you have to have a lot of patience being here, but patience is a virtue, and it really paid off for me in my life.
I would just want to follow up with this a question that you both own your own company. So when you first started, both of you, in real estate, what made you go to that next level of opening up your own company, your own firm? Either of you can start.
I'm never one to, and Dominic, you know me, to really chop anybody down or to discredit anybody. But when I was working for these, the Wykers or the Century 21s or your bigger corporations, they take out so much money of your commissions, and there's sometimes no explanation on it. And you do this job, and you're like, well, why are you taking all this money out? All the royalty fees you have to pay, and this fee you have to pay, and that fee you have to pay. And you know what? I was doing simple math, and I said, my God, if I made 500,000 or better, they made way over what I made. And I'm saying, why am I giving them their money? And there was a few companies like Weichert who really had their foot on me because I was his #1 agent at the time. He never wanted me to go to broker school because he never wanted me to advance. So part of advancing is stepping back, because I had to start all over again, going to broker school and all that other technicalities that you have to do to open up your own business. But in 2008, when the market started to go down a little bit, I said, this is my time to make a move. And everybody was like, what are you, crazy? You make great money. And I did. But I weighed it out and said, this is for my future, for me. And I think I was more mad at the people who were doubting me and saying he'll be out of business in 6 months. And it made me more eager to really succeed at what I was planning to do.
Lou, I have to give you a lot of credit. You took a chance in 2008. I remember the humongous meltdown of real estate back then. You had the wherewithal to do it, and I compliment you for a job well done to your success. As for me, I attained my broker's license in 1985. At that particular point, I'm going to circle back to around 1992. Our company, Cupo Sr, was bought out by Coldwell Banker. And at that point, my mom bought a building down here in Sip Avenue in Jersey City with a storefront in it. It was empty. And then she said to me, quote, here's your chance to open your own office. And I said, well, it's time to take my 12 years of accumulation of knowledge and bring it down to Sip Avenue and open the office. So July 1st, 1994, I opened my office for business. And this year in 2024, I will be in that location 30 years.
Oh, God bless.
Okay, so, and it all came to me. It was time to really make a move. I did it. I have no regrets. We were big. We had an ERA's brokership for 12 years. In Cupo Sr, we were the #1 office in Hudson County for 12 years. I took all that knowledge and brought it right down to where I am now. So that's what I've done ever since, Dom. It's been like...
That's great. You must have, I compliment your mom. Your mom was a big influence in your life.
Huge.
That's I'm hearing.
Huge. Yes. And I have, again, no regrets. She pushed me, and here we are.
And I remember coming in, if you believe it or not, 3 years old. I remember like it was yesterday when he opened up, seeing the microfiche and the mailbox that we have in the corner. I remember it like it. I can remember it like it's shooting in 6K. That's how vivid I remember that day. So my next question is just getting down to business. Is looking at the current state of the market. You have high prices, high rates, low supply, and high demand. In relation to 2020, how would you categorize this state of the market, and what is your projection for 2024 and 5?
Well, AJ, to answer that simply, we've had, and Lou will agree, 12 to 14 years of a huge market. Rates were historically low. They started out at 2% and they worked their way up to maybe 4%. But, like everything, markets do come and go. And in this particular case, we're at a point where rates are at 7 to 8%. The market's starting to shrink. The people that bought homes with interest rates between 2 and 4% are staying put. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, and that's starting to weather on the market. It's going to probably be like this for a while, but it will even out, and things will get better. For next year, from what I understand, rates will probably start to come down, and then the market will improve. But for now, it's survival for the fittest. So, gentlemen, put on your safety belts and go out there and do your thing, because it's going to be a little bit of a tough time for a little while. That's my answer.
You know, I can't agree with you more, but to elaborate on a little more of that is we're at the tail end of the seller's market right now. And I talk to Dominic about this all the time. And once you're out of the seller's market, then it's the buyer's market. Our problem right now, as Al said, the inventory is terrible. There's not enough houses to sell. I own a few properties myself. I get calls every day, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready to sell them. By the way, I'm a broker. If I'm going to sell it, I'll sell it myself. Thank you for the call. But, and as Al said, the stock market goes up and down. See, people don't realize what reality is, and stock market goes up and down. You could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in the market overnight. I always say to everybody, real estate will be your best investment. It can come up, it can come down, but God's not making any more land anymore. So people who have that, the people who, like Dominic would come in and say, oh, I got 40,000 over asking. And I'm like, I'm not impressed by that, because that person that spent $40,000 over an asking price for a house just took the money and threw it away, because their equity is not going to substantiate the money that they put into that home. So I always say this, and I mean it in a business way. What's going to keep the market going is people who are getting divorced, young couples who are getting married, and people who are dying. So the market will always be somewhat moving. So it's
I couldn't agree with you more. 100%.
So what the thing is, as he said, it's just going to be patience. You know, when we are 2008, when the market was going down, we still survived. When I got married in 1984, I bought my first home at 22 years old. My interest rate was 18%. And we thought nothing of it. Like, that's what it is. And then when they started coming down, you know, it was a different story. But I agree with Al, it will get better.
Well, going on to the next question is, for both of you, what do you love most of the area you service as a real estate broker?
I will take that question gladly. As I spoke to your broker, Lou, I go in the office every day, roll up my sleeves, go to work, and I love the interaction with people. I am a people person. I love the fact that every day brings a new situation in the real estate game, and I look forward to every challenge of every day.
Fantastic. Lou?
Me, I love the area that I work in, but I've worked in all areas. This area, Hoboken, Jersey City, all over. I've sold everything from $1 million houses, warehouses, to a little trailer that somebody needed to live one time. I actually did it on Christmas Eve. I'll never forget that. But the thing that I really got most out of this business is when I started in this business, I was much younger, of course, and all my friends were getting married, and I would love to see them purchase their home, start their families, and it was very, you know, moving for me to be in that. And I was like you know, I'd love to get dressed up every day and go meet the people and go out there, and you know, nobody had a stop clock on me, and you know, I could spend a 3-hour lunch if I wanted to, or you know, the freedom of the business. I really love that nobody was, you know, because I'm not a corporate guy, and I'll never be a corporate guy, you know.
Exactly.
So, in reference to what you said about getting $40,000 over asking, I would go to houses with my buyers, Lyndhurst, Carlstadt, get my pants completely blown off. I'd leave with my boxers on. And they'd have $80,000, $100,000 over. And as you said, they put their money in a blender. I call it buying a mausoleum. So for me, I see, and I want you to know if you agree with this, the foreclosures are going to be coming not in the form of just reverse mortgages, but also the fact that these people, oh, money's cheap, but you could negotiate the price up till when you sign, and then comes the rate, and you can refinance. But at the end of the day, you can't renegotiate that price that you signed on the dotted line. You're still paying 700 to 700. The rate, maybe that'll go down, but now good luck in 20 years to ever recoup that. So what are your thoughts on that?
So AJ, it's very good the points that you brought up. The problem is with people with high interest rates, and, inflation and everything. It's costing more money to get money. So a lot of these people will get in trouble for foreclosure because a lot of these people are taking money on credit cards. A lot of them are living hand to mouth. And we always say, as a broker, and your father could, don't live for a mortgage. Don't live for, have money to spend.
Absolutely.
And I always tell even Dominic, I always say, make sure you don't live for your house, that you have that, because that's what puts the pressure in marriages and things. There's no money to go out and enjoy life and
Yeah.
everything. So what you're saying is 100% right, is that these people, with the foreclosures and everything, it didn't even hit the market, and it will hit the market.
A lot of people are losing confidence in the everyday market and digital, right? Stock market. So they, in their theory, like a lot of my clients, they feel more comfortable investing in tangible items, like a piece of real estate. So having that 40, 50,000 above ask, okay, they're not going to see it right now, but down the road, they rather have that security in an actual tangible item versus the volatility of the stock market. Agree or disagree on that?
Let me take that. Okay, and you're 100% correct. As markets come and go, I've seen people where they have equity in their home. They would take the equity and actually buy other property with the equity in their home. The problem with that is when the market changes and rates go up and values come down, most of the properties that they now bought are underwater. And while they're underwater, they can't sustain making the payments on it, and then here comes your foreclosures. Once this all takes place, it's part of the markets that come and go, and it's residual. It comes, it goes, and eventually, you're 100% correct. The market will correct, the values of the properties will come back up, but it takes years to do that. So my advice is to be very careful. Don't live for your property, as Lou said it. I agree with that 100%. Seen that, and did that. But to answer your question, as long as you are frugal, buying property, the values will be there no matter what. Okay, I've bought property like Lou to use for residual income to pay my bills, and that's why I'm still here, and I'm sure that's why Lou's still here. We use the income from rental property to offset your bills. So that would be my best advice.
I just want to add one thing, whether this goes whatever, but what he's saying is right. See, we're not far apart of age. We don't really want to tell you guys our age, but trying to make a little joke here. And what I'm saying with that is a lot of us guys our age, your fathers, your whatever, we went into a business willingly knowing, and everybody used to say this to me too, that, oh my God, I'm working for J&J, I'm going to get some 401k and this, that, and this, that. But a lot of those people, they didn't get their 401ks, or the company spent it, or they went bankrupt, or whatever. So guys like us, we did buy our investment properties because you know what? When we get into our late 70s or 80s, God willing, that we have our rental income that'll help us
And we took
survive.
The risk, and we took the risk back then.
And we took the risk back then. And Dominic, you see it with myself, with one of the rental properties that I have, and with COVID, and over almost 3 years, I didn't get money, and I'm renovating the house now. But I just kept working harder on something else so I wouldn't lose my property, where people, they give up. When people give up, they're exhausted because there's no other money coming in for them.
100%, yes.
And this is when you purchase things smartly. And I want to say this to everyone watching. I see these podcasts all the time with this buy, renovate, rinse and repeat tactic. it's complete crap unless you buy it properly with the fact that it will have vetted equity. Do not simply fall for, oh, let's just pull out, let me buy it with 6 and 12 people. I said this last time on season 1. What are you doing? It's clown science. You buy 12.5% of a house with 8 people. It's not worth it. You saw what they said. If you buy a mausoleum and when the market changes, you have nothing to pull out. So that buy, rinse, and repeat can't happen. So make sure that when you're doing this, you do your homework. We're not saying this is easy. That's the number one. This takes time, patience, and of course capital. But you must do your homework.
Also, if I
Yeah.
just may come in,
Sure.
hiring a real estate agent is key. Well-rounded realtors like myself, AJ, Louis Farina, Al Cupo, we are well-rounded, not to their experience level, but we have
Not yet.
not yet, but we will be there.
One day. We're getting there.
Hiring a realtor is key. It's very, very important.
And that'll wrap up today's episode for Real Estate 101 with Dom and AJ. I'm AJ from AJC Realty Exchange.
And I'm Dominic Pascucci from Signature Homes and Estates.
And we want to thank our wonderful brokers, Al Cupo from AJC Realty Exchange.
Yes, thank you, Louis Farina. We appreciate it.
It was a great episode, and until next time, keep thinking real estate.